Good morning, beautiful people. Ooh, wow, do we have a lot to talk about today? Oh my goodness. Ooh. Oh my goodness gracious. Y'all, things are about to, shit's about to hit the fan in the United States in regards to the economy if something doesn't change. And like, I'm telling you now, personally, I would go out, and if you have the capital to buy things early, do it. Because like, I really don't think I really think that we're heading for a recession. And I don't mean to be like drama seeking or hyperbolic, but I truly like the way that all the information I'm about to break down during the live stream today is just going to show that a recession is very likely by summer. And it's completely self-inflicted. So, yeah, it's not going to be pretty. Good morning, Ellie. Good morning, Akicha. How are you all? So, I'm going to be revealing a lot of information on today's live stream. A lot of information. It's going to be a very details, statistics heavy live stream. And I'm going to be showing you a lot of the evidence, a lot of the specifics into the policies. I will be showing you charts and graphs and, quotes from people within, these spheres. We're going to be looking at people that are experts on this topic. I mean, we're going to be breaking down tourism. We're going to be breaking down trucking. We're going to be breaking down trade. We're going to be breaking down so much that it's kind of overwhelming. So I appreciate every single one of you. Please make sure to like the stream. It really does help out in the algorithm. I'm just going to go ahead and just start. I also, I'm not quite sure. I might receive a disturbance. I'm possibly waiting an important call, so I might get that during the live stream. So I apologize in advance if I just abruptly just disappear. So, cause your boy is working. So anyway, still figuring everything out in my life. Anyway, so this is a piece from The Independent. Empty store shelves are coming as companies cancel orders from China amid tariff concerns. This is bad. We saw what happened during the COVID-19 pandemic, where you literally had global supply chains come to a halt. And it was really hard to restart them. So that's what we're currently facing. Companies slowing or canceling orders from China could lead to empty shelves in stores amid Donald Trump's ongoing trade war with its major trading partner, China. Currently, the number of freight vessels scheduled to arrive at the port of Los Angeles is on track to be down 31% for the week ending May 10th compared to the previous year, according to ship tracking site Port Optimizer. Earlier this month, the president raised the tariffs on imports from China to 145%. It comes at a time when U.S. retailers would usually be ramping up to prepare for fall and winter shopping periods. Going further here, if no changes to Trump's China tariffs are made, U.S.-based companies have to pay at least $145 in tariff fees to Customs and Border Patrol protection to import most items valued at $100, wiping out profits unless prices are hiked up significantly. American companies, including Target, have already decreased or canceled their orders. Chinese vendors told NBC News earlier this month. In addition, the National Retail Federation expects imports to drop by 20% in the second half of the year if no changes to the tariffs are made. So what we're looking at is lots of canceled orders. We're looking at delays. We're looking at supply chain hiccups and less products coming in. Now, for some people might say, oh, well, okay, we're getting less products from China, but that means that we're just going to start making more stuff here. In theory, sure. But do we currently have the capacity, the infrastructure, the ability to generate that at a large scale to meet consumer demand? Absolutely not. No. No, we do not have the large scale sort of infrastructure we need to absolutely be self-reliant. And also, that's a whole nother thing. Like, there are things that we cannot produce here. Like, there are crops that we cannot grow here. So it's wild for us to put tariffs on crops that our climate is not able to grow. Anyway, but I want to show you some more data and statistics here. What we are seeing is imports decreasing significantly. What you're looking at are the import volumes. So this is the amount of freight, goods, stuff coming into, this is specifically the Port of Los Angeles. Change from the previous week, it is down 31%. Change from the previous year, it's down 13%. So like last year, I mean, we were still kind of coming out of COVID in those previous years, but it's even worse than like COVID recovery, which is bad, Now, I also want to show you this. This really shows the kind of disaster that is incoming. This really shows the disaster that is incoming. This is containers at the Port of Los Angeles terminal. Within 0 to 4 days, you're going to have about 54.7% of the containers being fully loaded, you know, with goods and stuff like that, of imports. Goods to be shipped out to stores, things for small businesses, materials, all of that. Within 5 to 8 days, you're going to have this. What you're looking at here is you are seeing a huge decrease in the number of fully loaded containers that have goods in them at terminals. What that shows, consequently, on the other hand, active empty containers on terminal. What this means is that there are containers at the Port of Los Angeles or other ports that are also going to be empty. Well, you see how you're going to see like a huge increase in empty containers after 13 days. What I'm basically showing you here is like right now is kind of like the last hurrah. We're about to see the tariffs really hit, is what I'm saying. Because China has just full-on canceled or stopped. Companies have full-on canceled or stopped stuff coming over from China. Which means that consumer shelves are just going to be empty. Prices are going to go up. And it's a complete manufactured crisis. When you have an increase in the number of empty containers at ports and a decrease of full containers at ports, you are seeing the preconditions for a huge, huge recession. And I know that many MAGA people don't want to see this. I know that many of you are going to be like, meh, all this is hysteria. I promise you, I really don't want to have to see you suffer. I don't want to have to see the FAFO moments that you're going to face, but it's coming. It's going to hit all of us. It doesn't matter if you voted for Trump or Kamala Harris or anyone. It doesn't matter. The tariffs are going to hit all of us, unless you're a super wealthy person that can pay more for extra all those goods. It's going to hit all of us. I also want to show you this. This is outgated container metrics. What you're seeing here is within 0 to 4 days, you're going to, you have 75%. The more that time goes on, you are seeing a decrease in outgated container metrics. Trucking is going to come to a stop, is what this shows. This shows that you're literally going to see less and less freight being transported by truck. Truckers, y'all are not going to have stuff to transport. It's going to be bad. You might not have anything to transport, then you might not get the hours you need to work, and it's going to lead to a stalling of the economy. Also, if you're enjoying the live stream or if you appreciate this information, please like the stream. It really does help the algorithm. It really does help me get to more people. I'm just trying to share you raw information. Also, rail. Rail is going to slow down significantly. You see a decrease in the amount of rail as well. What this is showing, I'm not an economist. I'm not the biggest expert here. But what I am looking at is seeing, okay, we're seeing a slowdown in economic activity. We are seeing a decrease in the amount of imports. We're going to see a huge decrease in the amount of full containers of goods going out to stores, which is going to lead to a big increase in empty shelves, which is going to then, with the law of supply and demand, mean higher prices for the existing goods, which there are few of, but the demand is high, leading to a manufactured crisis. Y'all following me so far? This is all completely self-inflicted. This is what tariffs do. Now, to play devil's advocate, theoretically, what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to generate and reinvigorate American manufacturing. In theory, what it's supposed to do is you have these retailers say, oh, well, we're going to look for American producers. Except in practice, it doesn't work that way, because you can't just all of a sudden have a supply chain set up to be at mass scale to meet the demand of the American consumer. That is basically a pipe dream to assume that that can be generated overnight based on tariffs. A tariff is literally a self-assigned tax on imported goods. If your theory is after a tax, you are going to then immediately be able to pivot the whole American economy into a whole different supplier, that is absolutely ludicrous to be able to think that that's possible. Yet that is literally what the Trump economic agenda truly relies on with these tariffs. So what we're about to see is the tariffs really hit. Does that all make sense? Do I even need to look at the chat? Do I even need to look at all the people that are probably screaming at me saying that I'm gay or something like that? Oh, or that I'm George Michael? Y'all have nothing substantive to say at all whenever I do these live streams. Whenever I do these live streams trying to inform you, they're all like, you're gay. Oh my God, you look like George Michael. First off, that's a compliment because George Michael was hot. Okay. But like, oh God, it's so funny. Like, y'all literally have these trolls. They have nothing. They have nothing. I'm just trying to inform you about, hey, things might get real quick. And y'all are like, he's gay. Girl, I'm embarrassed for you. I'm embarrassed for you. Okay, my phone is getting really hot. Hold on. Let me turn on the AC in my car. Turn on the AC in my car. I appreciate every single one of you, even if you hate me. So that all being said, when looking at this, what we are seeing is a huge decrease in the number of imports coming in. A huge decrease in the number of imports coming in. And that is going to lead to store shelves being literally empty. And what we know about the law of supply and demand is when you have less supply and the demand is high, prices will increase. It's like basics economics 101. So going forward, the Port of Los Angeles warns that difficult decisions ahead as shipments from China cease. President Donald Trump's trade war policies are expected to bring about a 35% decline in cargo arriving at the Port of Los Angeles by next week, as, quote, essentially all shipments out of China for major retailers and manufacturers have ceased. So that's bad. That's bad. U.S. agricultural exporters are having an especially challenging time. So much so that in March, China bought more soybeans from Brazil in 1 month than ever in history. Now, this quote, you'd be like, okay, well, water, or that's not important. But actually, this is a really big thing right here. We, as the United States, one of our biggest exports are soybeans. We grow a lot of wheat, we grow a lot of corn, and we grow a lot of soy here. And that's used as staple products in a lot of different foods. often a lot of different processed foods. That's a whole nother discussion. But point is, we export a lot of wheat, corn, and soybeans. The fact that China is not looking, they're like, oh, well, okay, United States, you put a tariff on us, we put a tariff back, we're going to find our soybeans somewhere else. They're going to other countries and being like, okay, so we're not talking with the US anymore. We're going to go to you, Brazil, and give it, what do you want for your soybeans? For people that think that these tariffs are a way to force China's hand into trying to negotiate, they're not negotiating. They're leaving the US, they're leaving our text on red because they're like, you know what? Yeah, you have a lot of consumers, but like, if you're going to be like this, we're just going to go and find other markets. So, hey, Brazil, can we buy your soybeans? And look, I'm saying this as an American. That's awful for us. That's awful for us. But hey, we have no one else to blame but ourselves. Because this is what tariffs do. Tariffs are basically an isolator. They make you look like someone who doesn't want to play well with others. That's what a tariff does. Now, tariffs can be effective if they're narrow and targeted and you have the infrastructure to then build up domestic manufacturing. I said that in October, and this is where we are now. Literally, I've transitioned from TikTok since then because, TikTok is going down. It's bad. It is becoming such an awful platform. Literally, like the app is just riddled with bots. Anyway, but back in October, I was talking about the dangers of tariffs, and now it's like I'm seeing everything that I was talking about manifesting, and I'm just like, it's like I tried to tell people. Anyway, but again, U.S. agricultural exporters are having an especially challenging time, so much so that in March, China bought more soybeans from Brazil in 1 month than ever in their history. This is a double whammy, may I also point out. Not only are the U.S. agricultural workers and farms having a tough time trying to find markets to sell their soybeans to, with these tariffs, China would be paying 140, with the tariffs that they put on themselves, they'd be paying 145% more for our soybeans as a result of us putting a tariff on them. It literally is, it's this childish thing. This is completely manufactured, completely unnecessary. So what we're seeing now is that U.S. agricultural exporters for soybeans are having a tough time trying to sell their soybeans. Because we, as the United States, now are being subject to a tariff in China, which they're a big consumer of our soybeans. So, congrats. This is what we got. Also, again, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to like the stream. I appreciate every single one of you. If this is your first time here, my name is Scott. I am a former political organizer and news journalist, and I'm just trying to inform people, okay? You don't have to agree with my opinions or my analysis, but I'm just bringing you also raw information. I'm not here trying to tell you what to think. I will share what I believe and what I think, but also I'm also just here to inform you. So, meanwhile, other major retailers have told Soroka, which is the guy that's featured in the article, that they have about 6 to 8 weeks of supply of inventory, but that will quickly dry up. The Port of Los Angeles is one of the major ports of entry for cargo ships from China and from the southeast part of Asia. The Los Angeles port import volumes for scheduled vessels for the week of April 27th to May 3rd are down 31% versus the previous week, which is a decrease of 14% compared to a year ago. Next week, the port expects scheduled vessels to be down 35%. This is bad. This is bad. And I'm not going to try and explain it again to people who are not willing to listen, so I'm just moving on. This is a piece in Medium, empty in 2 weeks. Warning by Walmart and Target and Home Depot CEOs to Trump. May I point out that the Home Depot CEO is a huge donor to Trump. Has been for a long time. It's an ultimate FAFO moment because look, dude, you donated to this guy who's literally going to tank your business. I could go through campaign finance disclosures, but I don't have the graphics to back that up. But it's very much true, and I can report on it another time. In a stunning warning at a private meeting in the Oval Office, top executives of 3 major big box chains in America bluntly told President Donald Trump that supply chain issues could become a big issue once again, just like in the pandemic days, as reported in an article by Axios. This would prompt empty store shelves again if he doesn't rein in his harsh tariff plans and stop trying to meddle with the Federal Reserve. They warn that if he doesn't reverse his manically out-of-touch policies, prices will go up as soon as 2 weeks. Also, Amazon, they're starting to hike their prices. And there was big developments that happened right before the live stream today that I'm also going to be sharing. So Amazon sellers are hiking their prices on hundreds of goods now because of the tariffs. We're seeing here American consumers are starting to feel the impact of President Donald Trump's tariffs. Since the second week of April, sellers on Amazon have raised their prices on nearly 1,000 products, according to the data from Smart Scout, which is a price analysis software tool. The average price hike, nearly 30%, is about nearly 30% according to the company's analysis. Costs rose on a wide range of items, from tech accessories such as phone chargers to women's clothing. I went and looked at Smart Scout's thing, and it is very, very complex. So I would love to be able to learn more about how to read it. So if you all are interested in trying to understand, go to Smart Scout, because they have a lot of different tools for understanding the markets. And again, I'm not an economist, though I also am seeking to understand the language of this and trying to do what I can to break it down in easy to understand terms. Now, as a quick little thing, right before I went live, shout out to some of my mods in here, shared this with me. At a press briefing this morning in the White House, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, was apparently really pissed that now Amazon is going to be including the displaying tariff costs, and they're saying like this is just absolutely inappropriate, rude, hostile political act. So they're just like, oh, this is completely awful. So the White House on Tuesday, this morning, bashed Amazon for reportedly planning on displaying how much President Trump's tariffs added to the cost of an item, calling it an aggressive move by the e-commerce giant. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest levels in 40 years? They're like, why didn't you do this under Biden? Because Biden didn't do mass tariffs, Caroline. Girl. Every single time, it's like clockwork. It's like clockwork. Every single time the Trump administration faces the negative ramifications of actions that they caused, they're like trying to shift blame to the Democrats. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. It's like it's an automatic process. Immediately, whenever you talk about Republican corruption, they always pivot. They're like, what about this? It's like, first off, that's not what we're talking about. Secondly, it is a nonsense comparison, a non sequitur comparison, because again, Biden didn't do mass tariffs to the point where Amazon felt the need to do this. Biden, by the way, did do a tariff or two, but they were very narrow. They were very niche. Specifically, they were tariffs on trying to bring domestic manufacturing back for things like semiconductors and solar panels. When you do a tariff and it is specifically tailored for one specific good, like solar panels or semiconductors, then it can be way more effective than just a massive widespread tariff on everything. To the credit of Biden, his tariffs seemed to actually work when they were narrow in scale, in scope, because you had more domestic manufacturing for semiconductors under the Chips and Sciences Act and in the Inflation Reduction Act, as well as solar panel manufacturing, which will help us transition to a clean energy economy and bring economic results. So if you do a tariff, it needs to be tailored and narrow in scope in order for it to be effective. For her to be like, oh my God, why didn't you do this under the Biden administration? Because the Biden administration didn't do massive tariffs to the point where literally it jeopardizes the U.S. economy. Girl, the incompetence. Is it incompetence or is it just like, is it just, do they realize how incompetent it is, or do they know and trying to destroy the economy? Who knows? So apparently Amazon is now going to be showing the tariff costs associated with the goods when you buy it online. And look, I do not like Amazon. I do not use Amazon. I actually boycott Amazon for a lot of my own personal reasons. I use my own personal consumer power to do that. I try to buy and shop as local as I can. That all being said, I totally support this from Amazon. Because they're just like, look, this is what happens if you do a tariff. We're going to have to raise our prices. How many times did I do live streams back in September and in October and November talking about the dangers of tariffs? How a tariff is an artificial inflationary tool that's going to be a tax on imported goods. And what's going to happen is that is not going to then, the price hike is not going to then, companies are not going to swallow the loss. They're not going to swallow the loss by charging the same price. They're going to raise their own prices because they have to continue making a profit. I actually did a whole big mathematical analysis one day in order to show this, and people still were just like, tariffs are going to be good. I would love to, and it's, I'm so curious to see. There were like people that were keyboard warriors. I really hope that my live stream was enlightening enough for them to really realize that, like, look, we're all on the same side here. Like, for anyone that's trying to come in here and make me your enemy, look, I'm not your enemy. I'm literally just trying to inform you about how tariffs work. This is not going to be good for anyone. Tariffs do not discriminate. Tariffs do not pick and choose who to affect based on political party, based on sexual orientation, based on your gender identity, based on your race. Tariffs are going to impact all of us. Whether you are a registered Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, Libertarian, unaffiliated, Harry Potter lover, Tesla driver, it's going to impact everyone, okay? Now, the people that it's going to affect the least are the ones that have a lot of money. I'm going to say that most everyone in here probably makes under $100,000 a year. It's going to affect us the most. So, that all being said, I do support this action from Amazon showing why this would be bad. What's so funny? I don't even have comments on. So one of my I don't even have comments on. So, that's funny. That's funny that, I don't even have comments on. I literally have it, like, hidden away. Should I just turn them off for a second? Because maybe people will start to listen and realize. It's funny. I just got a message from a friend saying, stay out. I'm not even looking at them. I know what happens so much now in my live streams. Anyway, but let's break down a little bit more here. I want to go to this article. Notice, this is a Fox Business article. Notice that even Fox can't deny it. Chinese-based Amazon sellers weigh price hikes, or exiting the U.S. This is a Fox Business article. What's interesting is one of them, a guy named Dave Fong, who sells a range of products, including school supplies and speakers, has already raised prices up to 30% and plans to reduce his investment in the United States. Interesting. As I had also mentioned previously, tariffs on imported goods also allow, what they do is they raise prices on domestically made goods, and they don't necessarily increase domestic manufacturing. Because in the case that I shared with soybeans and China, they're not, my mic is in and out. My mic is in and out. Are we okay? Let me turn off the comments for just a hot second. You're breaking up. No one can hear you. Okay. Okay. Is there a way to turn off, let's see, chat filter? Nope. Community moderation. Ooh, I can turn off the live chat. Okay. Is that better? I'm wondering if I can, let's see. Are we better now? I know I turned off the comments for just a hot second, just because it helps people just, yeah. We're just pausing for a quick second. My green screen is so bad. I'm so sorry, y'all. I do these live streams in my car. I don't have my own little studio that I can do these things on because I am a grassroots independent journalist just trying to inform people. Because I don't have the capital necessary. I am not a far right-wing grifter that is given millions of dollars from a foreign government to spew propaganda. I am just a ordinary Joe Schmo, American-born and very, 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 very working-class person trying to pull myself up. So, let me turn back on the chats now. I just wanted to refresh it really quickly. So give me a second, hold on. All right. All right. Are we good? Are we back now? Sounds all good to me. Okay, cool. So what I was saying earlier, and maybe it's because I have, maybe it's because my air conditioning is like right there. Let me turn that off. So what we're seeing are huge increases in prices because of these tariffs now. And it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. As I have been hinting at this whole entire time, it's not going to be great. What we're also seeing is even Fox can't deny it. So Fox Business literally put in here talking about how, like, for them, their suppliers are literally worried and raising also prices. One of them, David Fong, who sells a range of products including school supplies and speakers, has already raised prices by up to 30% and plans to reduce his investment in the United States. For us and anyone else, you can't rely on the US market, and that's quite clear, Fong told the outlet. We have to reduce investment and put more resources into regions like Europe, Canada, and Mexico and the rest of the world. This is crucial. If people, and this is the thing, these tariffs are not just keeping out foreign, like imported goods. What it's also doing is it's making it harder for exported goods to reach other markets. Tariffs are a double whammy in some cases, and it's bad. It's bad. In theory, tariffs are, they're like, oh, this is a good idea. In practice, they never work out well. The last time the United States tried to do tariffs on a mass scale was the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Does anyone know what that is? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? If you've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there is a scene where in the movie, the professor, the teacher, is talking about the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Acts and this idea of voodoo economics. And it's like all the students are incredibly bored, being like, ugh. He was talking about tariffs. How, in fact, the tariffs under the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act actually plunged the United States into the Great Depression even further under Herbert Hoover. So that's what that part was from. The last time that we did tariffs on a mass scale, it led to the Great Depression. I also want to give you an interesting case study. I want to point out that most all toys are made overseas. So Christmas and toy companies are at risk. Toy Association member survey reveals alarming impact of 145% tariffs. I called it the upcoming Christmas catastrophe. Because, when looking at this, they did a survey of a lot of the people part of their. This is the survey that they did. It was April 18th. They surveyed with responses from more than 400 member companies. The findings show that nearly half of small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, state they may soon go out of business due to the current U.S. tariff policy. So, when looking at this, 96% of American toy companies are small to medium-sized businesses, and around 50% of them say they will soon go out of business due to the current U.S. tariff policy. What you see in here is 81%. 81% of these people, small companies, are delaying their orders. And mid-sized companies, 87% of them are delaying their orders. 64% of these small companies are also canceling orders. 80% of them are also canceling orders. And will go out of business within weeks and months. 46% and 45% for small and then medium-sized businesses, respectively. This survey did not say, are you Republican, Democrat, did you vote for Trump, did you not vote for Trump? These are just people who work within the industry. They're like, yeah, these tariffs are going to cripple us. These tariffs are going to cripple us. What's really, really unfortunate is we are all having to suffer because of these tariffs because our country voted in someone like Trump. Think of it like this. Think of America as like a boat. Think of America as a boat. People on the boat decided to elect Donald Trump. And then Donald Trump had the crazy idea of poking holes in the boat in order for us to somehow reach our destination. It's like, it's not going to work. Yet he was elected. We're all going to suffer because of these tariffs. Some people might be better off because of these tariffs or somehow okay if you have a lot of money, you can spend more on those kinds of goods. If you're a rich person, you get a tax cut, but you have to pay more for ordinary goods, you might be fine. If you get a tax cut, you're good. But like the rest of us are going to suffer. This isn't about like a red versus blue thing. Policy doesn't need to be about red versus blue. Policy is about what is going to be good for people or what is going to hurt people. I don't understand why so many people in the United States, specifically MAGA, have to always play this game of us versus them. Stop. We're all in this together. Because of what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs, we're all going to suffer. This is just a specific case study on the toy industry. Think about all the other impacts. Let me also get to some other things here. One big company actually etched out a specific exception for them. Good job, Hasbro. But I also want to point out that Shein hikes U.S. prices as much as 377% ahead of the tariffs. 377%. Most of the hikes in U.S. prices came on Friday, with markups significantly higher in some categories than others, according to the data compiled by Bloomberg News. The average price for the top 100 products in the beauty and health category increased 51% from Thursday, with several of the items more than doubling the price. For the home and kitchen products and toys, the average jump was more than 30%. Led by a massive 377% in the price of a 10-piece set of kitchen towels. Now, that's wild. For women's clothing, the rise was 8%. Did not say anything about men's clothing. This is what we are seeing. Biggest price hikes observed by the most popular items. You're going to have kitchen cleaning towels skyrocketing in price by 377%. Okay, blinds and air conditioning gap brush, you're seeing it increase 219%. Manual chicken and meat shredder, 210%. Wax strips and post-wax strips, 205%. Eyebrow gel and natural effect, I don't know what that means, 199% increase in the price. Ultrafine blackhead remover tweezers, 168%. I mean, most all of this are health and beauty products. We import a lot of different stuff from China. So this is bad. Empty shelves, trucking layoffs are going to lead to a summer recession. That is what I have titled the live stream, because with all the information that I have put out here, we are going to see a recession. Y'all, please send some likes and share the stream with a friend, or just send a couple likes, like the stream. If you're new here, please subscribe. I work really hard to do what I do. I know this is not easy news to take in, but with the current economic trends that we are seeing, it is very likely that we are going to be in a recession by the summer. Everything that I have covered so far, starting off with the fact that many companies are canceling or delaying their orders coming from China, the fact that we are seeing a huge slowdown in the amount of activities at ports, we are seeing decreases in import volumes to the tune of a third, 31%, meaning that the United States is importing less goods, which means that there's going to be less stuff on the grocery store shelves, leading to empty shelves. And the law of supply and demand shows that when you have less of something, but the demand stays high, it increases the price of the existing supply, which means that prices are going to go up, supply is going to go down, and what you see is an artificially inflated crisis that was completely manufactured for no reason at all. It's a completely self-inflicted wound. Also, what we're seeing are, hold on, this first. Active loaded import containers on terminal. You are seeing fully loaded containers decreasing the more that time goes on. 0 to 4 days, you see around 50% of the containers are fully loaded. 5 to 8 days, only 23% of them are fully loaded. 9 to 12 days, only 3.8% are fully loaded. I'm really interested to see why plus 13 days we have this year, but you can see how the trend is going that direction. Also, in regards to active empty containers, we are going to be seeing increases in the number of fully empty containers sitting in shipping ports. So you see here that 28% of them are empty as of right now. It's going to decrease because here's my theory, that there's going to be the last hurrah of everything that is shipped out to the stores, and then it's going to be gone. You're going to be seeing a huge increase in the number of empty shipping containers at terminals. You're also going to be seeing a huge slowdown when it comes to transport. So anyone who is a trucker or who works in trucking or transportation, because you're going to be seeing a higher amount of empty containers, we're also going to be then, and less full containers, you're going to then have less activity transporting the existing goods. And it's not only that, but like, going back to this here, you have the CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot being like, look, dude, you need to change this. Amazon hiking their prices. Shein hiking their prices. Even Fox is admitting, like, people are going to be looking elsewhere at markets. And again, going back to this specific thing with Brazil, U.S. agricultural exporters are having an especially challenging time, so much so that in March, China bought more soybeans from Brazil than ever before. We as the United States produce a lot of soybeans. Our agricultural exporters are having a tough time trying to find markets to sell their soybeans. So not only are these tariffs affecting imports and the less amount of goods coming in, but it's hard for us to sell what we have going out, which leads to a slowdown in economic activity, which then leads to businesses contracting, laying off their staff, cutting costs wherever they can, leading to supply chain issues. It's a completely self-inflicted crisis that didn't need to happen, all because of tariffs. All because of them. I want to touch on other things that I haven't even mentioned yet. So, so Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, is like, yeah, a recession is very likely. This is the guy who donated Trump's campaign, by the way. I also just want to read out a couple comments here. This is from someone who has a fairly popular platform on X, formerly known as Twitter, who talks about logistics. They said, I hear so many stories of shipments just being canceled out of China, just stopped. No more ordering or shipping. In 2 months, we will likely have COVID level shortages. Now, there are probably some MAGA brainwashed seal clappers in here that are like, oh, well, why do you want cheap goods from China? Pause. I understand that those people want to increase domestic manufacturing of stuff here. We all do. This is not the way to do it. And you say, well, wait, why? Because you cannot create a robust supply chain in 2 months. I'm not a business major. I'm not an economist. Deals take time. Setting up infrastructure takes time. Opening up factories, hiring workers, having expertise, doing product development, doing channel management. All of that takes time. You can't just overnight shift the entire US economy, try to shift a good big section of the US economy, which we are a very consumer-led economy. We rely on a lot of imported goods. We export a fair amount of stuff, but we also rely on many imports as well. What the Trump administration really just doesn't like is the fact that we import more than we export. But here's the thing. We live in a hyper-consumerism economy. We are an economy based off of consuming lots of goods, but also services. That's not a bad thing. It means that our citizenry tends to have a higher level of income that can be used to spend on those things. But Donald Trump doesn't like that. He literally wants he wants to go back to the 1890s. Y'all remember the 1890s when literally you had the Carnegies and the Rockefellers owned almost so much of America? It's just, it's insane. It's insane. Also, people don't realize how interconnected the global supply chains are and how important Asia is. We're going to find out when we run out of stuff. The second great toilet paper war. That's coming. Many in the trucking industry voted for Trump. Consequences. And trucking is going to slow down, as I pointed out. It's going to come to a halt. It's going to come to a halt. Because with less stuff coming from China, overnight you're not going to have American products just start flooding the shelves. That's not how it works. You're going to have truckers be laid off because they don't have stuff to ship to stores. You're going to have people who work in supply chain management struggling because of these tariffs. My brother works in supply chain management. I'm really curious. I would love to know what he thinks about all of this personally. You're going to have a lot of people who rely on transporting goods just completely being like, this is crazy. The same way that we did in COVID. Except this time, it's not a pandemic. This is a self-inflicted bad choice of policy that is leading to a disaster in real time. So let's transition and talk about another aspect of the economy that I haven't even gotten to yet. Let's talk about tourism. Oh wait, hold on. Let me actually even point this out really, really quickly. So Apollo Global Hedge Fund, this is a big financial group, okay? They even said, however, tariffs have been implemented in a way that has not been yet effective. There's now a 90% chance of what is being called a voluntary trade reset recession, a VTRR. And they talked about how this administration inherited an economy with, that had low unemployment, strong growth, blah, blah, blah. And they then go through and they're just like, look, this is what we're seeing. Implementing these extremely high tariffs overnight may hurts many businesses, particularly small businesses, because the tariff must be paid by the business when the imported goods arrive in the United States. Small businesses that have for decades relied on a stable U.S. system will have to adjust immediately and not have the working capital to pay for the tariffs. Again, there is this, Donald Trump lied to his people saying, China, they pay the tariffs. No, they don't. China doesn't pay the tariffs. It is a self-assigned tax on imported goods. That's what a tariff is. If you own a small toy business, you pay the artificial inflationary price hike with a tariff. That's what a tariff is. It's an artificial inflationary tool for prices. Oh, God. So experts expect ships to sit offshore, orders to be canceled, and well-run generational retailers to file for bankruptcy. The challenges for small and medium-sized enterprises are now a macro problem for the United States economy, where small businesses account for more than 80% of U.S. employment and CapEx. So let me also just point out that Donald Trump is saying that, like, oh, I've made deals negotiating. I've made about 200 deals on these tariffs. 200 deals I've made. It's fantastic. Let me get out my hands. Let me see the hands. I need the hands. I've made 200 deals. Yes, 200. It's fantastic. Maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? But it's around 200 deals on the tariffs. I know my cabinet can't even mention one, but that's okay. That's okay. They have Trump derangement syndrome. It's fantastic. It's great. What's really interesting is, like, Donald Trump has claimed that he's made around 200 tariff deals. We put tariffs on, like, almost every country. You know how many countries we have in the world? 195 if you include the Vatican City and the state of Palestine. We have 193 by the United Nations, but 195 if you include Vatican City and Palestine. How are you going to have 200 deals? And like, if you can't even name one, listen, right-wingers, if Joe Biden were to say that he had 200 deals with all these different countries based on tariffs, would you believe him? And you ask, like, hey, can you name one? And says, look, Jack, I can't, it's going well. You'd be like, dude, that's crap. So why is it like that with Donald Trump? Because you don't care about having an actual equal application of logic. You don't care about an equal set of beliefs. You only care about opportunism for Team Red. You literally are just a cog in the machine for the Republican Party to screw you over. That's what Republican MAGA people sign up for. Go ahead, but don't bring all of us down with you in it by electing someone like Trump. It's just, oh God. And let me also just point out here that it's not, countries are not making deals with the United States. They're just not. Think of it like this. If you send out a text and you're left unread, that's what's happening to the United States right now. That's what's happening to the United States. The United States is like, we're putting a tariff. We're putting a tariff on all of these goods. Putting a tariff on you. Putting a tariff on you. Putting a tariff on you. We're putting a tariff on the penguins. Penguins on the herd in McDonald Islands. All these other countries are like, okay, we're going to put a tariff right back. We're going to put a tariff right back. Or we're just not going to trade with you anymore. And like, Donald Trump is like, all right, China, I'm ready to negotiate. I'm ready to negotiate. I put a tariff of 145% on you. I'm ready to negotiate. And China's like, we're just not going to engage with you. We're going to go to other nations. As I said, China is already going to Brazil for a good amount of their soybeans. One of our big exports are soybeans. Not only are we going to be paying more for imported goods, we're also not going to be able to get goods that we export to market. Like, what these tariffs do is basically you're literally building a wall around yourself and saying that you don't want to trade with anyone. The economy is a lot like a boiling pot of water. In order for things to generate, in order for the pasta to be cooked, you have to have it boiling. Trade is what turns up the temperature. Trade is the thing that turns up the heat on that pot of water for the US economy to boil. I've always thought the US economy is a lot like a boiling pot of water. What tariffs do is it takes the pot off. It's literally doing what you can to turn down the temperature or to take that pot off the burner. That's what a tariff does. That if you're trying to boil the pasta, taking the pot off the burner is not going to help. That's what tariffs do. Economies rely on constant, in order to be functioning, economies rely on constant trade and activity to stay afloat. Think of it like this. If you have a class of 20 people, let's just say that they're like elementary school kids, and they all trade around jelly beans. They produce jelly beans and they trade away jelly beans. An economy where one or two kids have all the jelly beans and all the other kids are desperate for the jelly beans, you don't have the activity going around. You don't have the trade going around. The economy is bad because you have so much concentration of the jelly beans in a couple different kids, whereas everyone else barely has any. You ever played a card game where you have to try and collect all the cards? You don't have a lot of activity when one person has all the cards. The economy is very similar to that. Economies thrive when there is robust exchange. When there's robust exchange. What tariffs do is it literally just stops the trading. It stops it. That literally is like a self-inflicted wound. That's what a tariff is, unless it's narrow and targeted in its scope. So, China's reaching out to other nations. As the U.S. layers on more tariffs in what appears to be an attempt to form a united front to compel Washington to retreat. Facing the cratering of global markets, Trump on Wednesday backed off his tariffs on most nations for 90 days. So it's like he's trying to play a game of chicken with these tariffs, which is just exhausting. China thus far has focused on Europe with a phone call between Premier Li Jiang, I don't know how I'm supposed to say that, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, sending a positive message to the outside world. China is willing to work with the EU to jointly implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of China and the EU. So right now, you're basically having China reaching out to a lot of Europe in order to do trade. They're like, okay, the United States, we're just going to leave them on red because they're acting crazy. What do you got? Donald Trump has this idea that if you put tariffs on the country, they're going to be like desperate. The United States economy, like what Donald Trump truly thinks, he's like, I'm going to use these tariffs as a way to force China's hand. Except China's hand is not being forced. They're like, okay, you put tariffs on us? Fine, we'll just go somewhere else. It's a lot like the backfiring of playing hard to get. You know, when you're seeking out someone that you are interested in and you play hard to get. Donald Trump is trying to play hard to get with China. It's like China's like, we're not going to play that game. We're just going to go find someone else. He's literally playing hard to get with our economy. So you know that poser, you know that dude that's always like, yeah, I'm not even attracted to that. I'm not even attracted to that. And then it's like, fine, I'll go away. And it's like, oh no, babe, I was just kidding. Why don't we talk about it? But no, seriously, yeah, I am not really attracted to you. It's like Donald Trump is trying to play hard to get with China. And China's like, I don't want to play this game. We're just going to go somewhere else. So specifically, China is having really, really good conversations with the Prime Minister of Spain, out of all people. So earlier this week, Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao spoke with Marcos Safok. I don't know how I'm saying that. The Commission chief trade negotiator to explore ways to deepen the cooperation between the two sides. Meanwhile, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez this week urged fellow EU leaders to review the bloc's strained ties with China. In a meeting with Sanchez in Beijing on Friday, Chinese President Xi Jinping said the EU and China must jointly safeguard the trend of economic globalization and fair international trade environment. So, while the United States is literally trying to like force China's hand, China's like, we don't want to play that game, we're going to go somewhere else. And now they're flirting with Spain. This is what we get when we elect a criminal like Trump. A guy who's bankrupted a casino. The guy bankrupted a casino. How do you bankrupt a casino? The games are like almost verifiably rigged unless you're super smart. And like, oh God. And speaking of casinos, let me use that as a transition to let's talk about tourism. Let's talk about tourism. I have all of this stuff that I haven't even like mentioned yet. Oh, here we go. Las Vegas sees some level of decreased visitation amongst Trump tariffs. Hospitality and tourism has plummeted since Trump got in office, specifically amongst international travelers like Canada. It's almost as if fear-mongering about trying to get Canada to join the United States as the 51st state, it's almost as if that has a backfiring effect and the citizens of that country are like, screw you. So Las Vegas sees some level of decreased visitation amidst the Trump tariffs. It's, oh God, it's like... So it means several things. Monica Tahar of Avanti Green Eco Cleaning said, number one, it's an increase in price when it comes to our supplies and equipment. This is someone who works in Vegas. These tariffs mean an increase in the supplies of our equipment, and it also might mean less consumer spending, in addition to less travel. They alerted us and told us that we were going to get a 10% increase on everything started the second week of April, Tahir said, adding that the increase instigated unexpected costs. And it also means that, unfortunately, because we are spending more on supplies and equipment, that we need to raise our prices. Yeah, it's almost as if you have to pay more for something, you're going to raise the price of your good. If you have to pay, if you're a business and you pay more for the same wood that you are used to build your furniture, you're going to raise the price of the furniture in order to offset what you would lose, so you don't have a decrease in your profit margin. That's like business 101. A growing trade war has led to a drop in consumer sentiment, an economic factor tracking how confident American consumers feel about spending money. Oh gee, it's almost as if when you have a recession or a depression, hospitality suffers because you have a lower amount of consumer sentiment. You have a decrease in that. Facing possible economic slowdown, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority projected a 5% drop in revenue for the year. The number does not equate to a 5% drop in tourists, but the amount of money collected through hotel room taxes. What we're seeing is early, Steve Hill said. We're seeing some level of decreased visitation from Canada and internationally generally. What's also interesting is the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told his citizens before he stepped down, he's like, yeah, don't visit the US. They're literally trying to get us to join them as the 51st state, which is crazy. So in 2023, 1.4 million Canadians visited Las Vegas, according to the LVCVA. That accounts for about 30% of all international tourism for the Valley. With Canada deciding, you know what, maybe we're just not going to go to the United States. The United States relies on a lot of Canadian tourism. Canada relies a lot on the United States tourism. When the leader of our country jokes/threatens and is often kind of serious about trying to just swallow up another country, yeah, people are going to be pissed. The reason why economic activity is down in Vegas is solely because Donald Trump and his cronies are like, yeah, let's just acquire Canada as the 51st state. And Canada's like, all right, we're just not going to go to Vegas then. We're just not going to, we're not going to go to your country if you're going to threaten to swallow up ours. So, let's see. The projected decline in Canadian tourism to the United States could mean more than $4 billion in losses to the economy, according to the U.S. Travel Association, USTA, estimated the same month. A 10% reduction in travel could put 140,000 hospitality and retail jobs in jeopardy, according to USTA metrics. I also want to point out that there are also mass layoffs happening in Vegas right now for people who are part of hospitality staff. Just saying. 1 in 8 visitors to the Las Vegas Strip last year was an international tourist. Economists warn that one of the first things people cut in uncertain economic times is discretionary spending. Discretionary spending. So, people tighten up the tighten the belt when things get tough. I also want to display some numbers here. U.S. to miss out on billions as Trump policies deter overseas tourists. Let me give you some statistics here. This is the airport in Las Vegas. The Harry Reid International Airport reports a 3.9% decline in passenger traffic for March. Now you're like, okay, well, that's not too much. Amongst international passengers, the discount carrier WestJet was down 14.5%. Air Canada fell 5.9%. So you do see some decreases. The number of overseas visitors to the U.S. dropped by 11.6% in March, according to the according to our U.S. government data, which is interesting. Also, Canadians unhappy with Trump's repeated threats to colonize Canada as the 51st state has also led to a decrease in bookings so far, and while car visits have declined by 32% since March. Let me show you some statistics here. This is from the Travel and Tour World. This is a site that tracks international tourism and stuff like that. Canada grounds U.S. travel plans as Air Canada, WestJet, and Porter soar toward Europe. Flights to Italy, UK, Greece, Spain, Netherlands, and Lufthansa joins the surge, which that's another airline. So you see that Air Canada, WestJet, and Porter are dramatically cutting back the cross-border flights and rerouting to different places like France, Germany, the UK, Greece, Spain, the Netherlands, Iceland. The shift marks a major transformation for the Canadian summer travels. A sharp decline in U.S.-bound demand. Canadian airlines are responding to what aviation analysts are calling an unprecedented slump in the U.S.-bound travel demand. According to data from Cirium, which analyzes third-party booking platforms, summer bookings between major Canadian cities and U.S. destinations have dropped nearly 20% year over year. Conversely, bookings with Canada have jumped 11% for the peak month of July. The steep downturn is affecting key travel corridors between Canada's largest airports, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary, and also popular U.S. cities. Cirium's data breakdown reveals that Phoenix is seeing a decline in international travel of 17%, Washington Dulles 24%, Miami a decline of 33%, Dallas-Fort Worth 15%, Chicago O'Hare 19% decrease in international travel from Canada. You're seeing Los Angeles 30% decrease, Houston 14% decrease, Fort Lauderdale 27% decrease. New York, 18% decrease. Only Boston saw a marginal increase. People in Canada are like, yeah, we're not going to the United States. And this is all because of because of like a lot of political unease. Policies and rhetoric from the U.S. leadership have created an environment that some Canadians perceive as unwelcoming. And also tariffs, lingering uncertainty from past tensions and immigration crackdowns are influencing travel sentiment. So what we're then seeing here is Vegas, places like Vegas are going to be suffering because you don't have income coming in from tourism. And it's not just Vegas. Think about all other international, think of all tourism just in general. If you are appreciating the information that I'm giving in this live stream, please like the stream. It really does help. Also, if you're new here, say hello in the chat and where you're tuning in from. I like to get to know new people. I am almost done with my broadcast for today. I also want to point out that these are statistics coming from Canada, a leading indicator of international arrivals to Canada. You can see here, leading indicator of Canadian resident return trips by automobile. So you are seeing a huge, decline coming from Canadian resident return trips from the United States. So what you're basically seeing, Canadian resident return trips from the United States automobile continue to decline. In March, the number of Canadian resident return trips by automobile from the U.S. totaled 1.5 million, a steep decline. So people in Canada are like, yeah, we're not going to go to the United States. You're also seeing Canadian resident return trips compared to what they were. This was COVID, so this makes sense while there was like this deep decline here. But like, that is a huge difference based purely on tariffs and rhetoric coming from our executive branch. I think that Donald Trump truly as a Okay, hello. Is anyone still here? Is anyone still here? I'm so sorry. I had to take a call. I'm so sorry, y'all. I had to take a call, and it was really, really important for me to take that call. It's back. Yes. I'm sorry. I had a really, really important call that I needed to take. So, and I knew that it was possible. I knew that it was possible that I would get it during the stream. So, I apologize for all of that. I am so glad that you all are here. Thank you for your patience. And it was like, I wasn't quite sure if it would happen. But anyway, it was something that was really, really important. But I am going to be done here in a minute. He did come back. All good, bro. Oh, thank you, Colt. Maybe we got some of the maybe we got some of the wild people away from the live stream. Maybe we got some, we were all jamming out to Jeopardy. Like the music. But yeah. So while it's people in here that are all kind of like, I don't know, y'all are the core fam. How was the live today? Because I basically covered most everything I wanted to cover. I don't think that there was really much else that I wanted to share, other than Donald Trump saying that the USA lost billions of dollars in a day under sleepy Joe Biden. Well, I literally showed earlier in the stream how the fact that these tariffs are going to stall imports, decrease and cancel orders, leading to like an economic recession, because we're now going to have shelves empty. The economy is going to come to a halt. I hope that my metaphors were also helpful. Yeah, mostly in our heads. Okay. So anyway, if you're new here and you've enjoyed the stream, and I heard that I know, right? You know what's so funny is, like, Joe Biden really does live rent-free in Donald Trump's head. He really does. A new gig complaining about America. I have been voicing my critique of America for the longest time. Someone said, you're ignorant of facts. Pause. If you're gonna insult me, use the correct your. Use the correct your. Also, no, I literally showed statistics, science, and literally so many metrics to show the economy. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed the live stream, please make sure to comment yes. Please make sure to say if you enjoyed it or not. I had to take a call during the live. I apologize for the delay. Yes, I am gay. Thank you. I apologize for the delay midstream. I had to do all of that. So I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for sharing the info. Thank you. Was this anyone's first time listening to the live? I know, oh, thank you, GMBDT. I appreciate that. You know, the reason I do my live streams is not for these like rage typing trolls. I do these live streams to inform people who truly want to listen. And it really means a lot when I see people that aren't like super vocal in the chat being like, I appreciate what you do. Cause I'm like, y'all are the quiet ones, the silent majority, that really do listen. I like the metaphors. Yeah, I really like to talk in metaphors. And the economy is very similar to a boiling pot of water. The way that pasta gets cooked and things get done is for the heat to be up and the water to be boiling. A tariff is literally turning down the temperature. That's what a tariff does. It's taking the pot off the boiling water. That's what a tariff does. Sorry, there's this one guy that keeps looking at me. He's kind of cute. Kinda. Kinda is the key word. So, yeah, the economy is so similar to a boiling pot of water. Or, again, like the classroom with the kids and the jelly beans, as I was pointing out. Economies thrive on exchange. Tariffs, what they do is they literally stop exchange. That's what a tariff does. Economies thrive on exchange. Exchange of goods, exchange of services. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't negotiate for better or be self-reliant in some ways, but also economies thrive when you have a robust system of exchange. Right now, Donald Trump is advocating for like the 1890s, where going back to the 1890s, where literally you had like Rockefeller, Carnegie. It was called the Gilded Age, where like very few people own so much. And that's not effective. If you have a classroom where kids have jelly beans, they produce, consume, and trade jelly beans. If you have a classroom of 20 kids and 2 of them have all of the jelly beans, that's not going to be a robust economy in that classroom of like trade. It's not going to be a robust economy. I know it's a little bit of a weak metaphor, but economies thrive on trade. Someone said, make America not gay again. That is the most beta thing to say. The fact that, like, you think that insulting strangers over the internet asserts your masculinity. I want to say, make America not beta males. Like, no, seriously. Like, for anyone that comes in here and immediately tries insulting, like, it doesn't matter. Like, let's just put out the hypothetical that, like, I was some super far right-wing person. Going in and insulting someone based on their identities doesn't really do much of anything. It doesn't add to a substantive conversation. So like, it's really crazy when people just come in here and try to like name call. Dude, minding your own business is free. The biggest bullies are on the left. That is not true. Do people on the left try to take away your rights? No. Do people on the right try to take away your rights? Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, what is this BS on my feed? You do realize that commenting on the live stream is going to then show similar things, like me. Look, to all the people, and I'm going to have to end the live stream here soon because I need to get going. I have to get to work. One little thing that is always just so interesting. Every single day, I do this live stream and there's all these people that are trying to make me into an enemy. Dude, I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy. I'm not your opposition. I'm your fellow American. Like me or not. If you're so bored with your life that you need someone to hate, then I guarantee, go and find a hobby. Go and find a hobby. Hate gives you acne, gives you high blood pressure. Like, you don't have to agree with my opinions or my analysis. But I'm here to... Someone said Scott Johnson for Donald Trump. Definitely not. I don't like this guy. I literally pointed out the entire live stream how his policies are disastrous. Point is, I think it's crazy when people try to make me into your opposition. I'm your fellow American. Someone said hate is the reason I exist. Jeez, that's dark. Anyway, I appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to all my amazing moderators in here. Y'all are incredible. Ooh, Scott for president. Aww. Now you're a fellow American. I've always been a fellow American. So, I've always been a fellow American. There's so many people in here that are just so angry. Does it feel good? Does it feel good hating on me? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. There's so many people so full of hate. Hate gives you acne, honey. Hate gives you acne. Shout out to all my amazing moderators in here. Y'all are all awesome. Sorry, Scott, but what the traitor does gets me furious. Oh, no. What Donald Trump does gets me furious, too. I'm not discounting that at all. Not discounting that at all. You're awesome. Yeah, I know, right, Myrna? Yeah. Anyway, shout out to my amazing moderators for the stream. Y'all are incredible. Shout out to Akicha, Ellie, Kate, Jenny. Y'all are all incredible. Cherie. Oh my goodness. I could not do it without you all. Joanna Tech. Love you, Joanna Tech. And y'all are all incredible. So, and shout out to all the people who constantly try to get my attention because you have a crush. You know, I know that I'm really handsome. So if you really want to get in this jelly, then, you know, I see you. To all the rage typers who think that an insult gets under my skin, keep going. Keep trying harder. You know what? I expect better. I expect better. It's to the spammers in the chat, screaming at the top of your lungs. Do you feel seen? Do you feel heard? Anyway, I love all of you so much. Just remember, and also I'm gonna give a big shout out to Ilisa, all my moderators, Ilisa, Ellie, Joanna Tech, Akicha, Ellie, Jenny, Kate, Cherie. I couldn't do all this without you all. So anyway, just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!